Welcome to the Big Success Show. Today, 6 steps to go from idea to action.
Big Success with the Professor and Mary-Lynn.
Have you ever had an idea that came like right out of the blue? I mean, way out of left field, right, as they say.
Right.
But you didn't have a clue where to start developing it.
Yeah.
How to do that.
Usually happens in the shower, right?
Exactly.
Well, today we'll share the story of how one man whose idea for, ironically, when I just mentioned the shower thing, his idea for used hotel soap is saving lives.
So he always does get his best ideas in the shower, I guess. Yeah. It's saving lives, and we're going to break down that story into steps anyone can take to go from idea to action. Hi, I'm George the Professor.
And I'm Mary-Lynn. Today's podcast episode is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your data on any device. So here's the story.
What's the story, Mary-Lynn?
What's the story? So in 2008, a man who was traveling for business thought of a question one night while in his hotel room.
So he was traveling for business, but he wasn't actually on the job at this moment in time.
No, he's in the hotel room and just has that fleeting idea out of the blue. Mm-hmm. And so he called the front desk and he says, hey, what happens to the leftover soap?
Now, I got to tell you, there are a lot of reasons I've called the front desk in my life, but none of them has to do with asking what they do with the leftover soap.
Well, that's what he called for.
All right, great question.
That's what he was pondering in his hotel room
I'm
that
sure
night.
they don't get this question very frequently.
Right. Well, the response from the front desk was, well, we throw that soap away.
Of course they do. Why did you have to ask, right? So Sean Seipler started looking at some numbers. So, I mean, this is a good way to go, right? Let's see if there's a market here. And what he found was that millions of bars of salvageable soap were going to waste. That's no surprise, right? Thousands. Here's the cool part, though. He tied it to helping people. Thousands of young children were dying from hygiene-related illnesses every single day across the world.
I had no idea.
No, I mean, never even thought about it.
Until I heard about this story, I never would have even thought of it.
Well, and, we kind of learned some of this from the pandemic, but this last point is really significant, too. That studies show that if you wash your hands regularly, they could cut the number of those deaths by about half. By half. We could wipe out that much death.
Right. If those people had access.
If they had access to bar soap. To them. Yes. Isn't that amazing?
It's incredible.
So based on his research, Seipler felt compelled to do something.
So he had the idea. Now he has the data. He has the information. And now he feels compelled to do something. He can't just sit back anymore.
We're talking big, and that's big with 2 G's. We're talking big impact. So when he got home, guess what he did? He took his idea and turned it into action. That's what good entrepreneurs do, right?
You got to take the next step, right?
Exactly right.
And Clean the World, which is the company that Seipler ended up founding, Clean the World was formed, and to date, the nonprofit organization has distributed 70 million bars of soap to 127 countries since 2009.
Amazing.
Through a partnership with over 8,000 hotels and resorts.
That's just simply awesome.
And we've talked about before how sometimes your purpose finds you. We've got our life purpose quiz. What's your purpose in life? What is it? Are you doing something to help make the world a better place? And sometimes, when you open yourself up, your purpose finds you. And this is definitely one of those cases. For more inspiration from this story, let's pull out the professor's whiteboard for 6 steps to go from idea to action.
I need to take some action to clean out that closet, Mary-Lynn.
That you do.
You think soap will do it?
That would be big with 2 G's if you actually would do that. All right. 6 steps to go from idea to action. Step number 1, get started. Seipler started at home.
There you go.
Got home from that business trip and he got going.
Most businesses start at home.
Right.
And I think a lot of people think I got to go out and have these fancy headquarters, right? Or this fancy building. No, you can start at home. And then his next step was he went to hotels in his hometown of Orlando, Florida, and asked if they would give him their unused soap. Who's going to say no to that, right? I mean, all you got to do is collect all your soap, right? And of course, they all said yes.
Right.
So now with thousands of bars of used soap, Seipler recruited some friends and family, and they set up shop in a garage, okay? I mean, it's almost always the garage, the basement, or a corner of my room, right? In my apartment.
And recruiting friends and family.
That's pretty common, too. Exactly right. So, and that was the launch of Clean the World.
And so what they did was they would scrape the outside of the bars of soap by hand with potato peelers. This is exciting work here. and then they pulverized those pieces in a meat grinder, melted them down in slow cookers, poured the mix into molds, and cut new bars.
Isn't that awesome? Because, I mean, I got to say, my first thought, because you found this story online.
Right. We've got links to the resources we've used to help retell this story with your show notes today.
Well, but my first reaction, frankly, was, ew, old bars of soap?
Oh,
I mean, that was it. But now, once you explain to me kind of how they work it all makes sense, and it's a fantastic way to recycle an otherwise useless resource.
But just in listening to the steps of how they got started, very entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurs use the resources that they have at their disposal. So a garage, friends and family willing to help, and then just things around the house that we get. We've got a slow cooker. We've got some molds that we'll use. We've got potato peelers.
Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's all using what you have. And I think so many people also, we talked earlier about the corner of a room, the garage, the basement. Mm-hmm. Well, it's also true, though, that these are just household tools. I mean, none of this costs very much money to do.
Right.
I'm surprised they used the slow cooker instead of cooking it faster, but that's just me. I like fast food.
Very quick. All right. But the company then began distributing soap to local charities there in the hometown of Orlando.
Which led to an opportunity to go to Haiti in the summer of 2009. And Seipler said they took 2,000 bars of soap and vowed to come back with more.
Right.
2,000 bars.
So that connection with the local charity opened up the opportunity for their company to go international.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So step 2, 6 steps to go from idea to action. Step 2 is to find funding for growth.
You got to have money.
Yes. Seipler's service was catching on now, and more hotels from outside the Orlando area were wanting to participate. In order to serve more people, the operation needed more space, more help, and better equipment.
Okay, look at the order they did this in. They scrounged up every little piece of thing they already had, and that's a question we always encourage people to ask is, what can I try with what I already have or can easily obtain?
Right.
To see if it'll work, to test that market, because what if it didn't work? He's lost nothing. I mean, a little bit of time. But that's,
a little bit of time, and he would have still donated, some soap to the cause.
Exactly, yeah. So still probably did some good, right? Well, they wanted to expand. They needed better equipment, more help, and more space. And so to fund all that, Seipler's company began to charge hotels a small fee to participate in the soap recycling program.
We've got something that people want. Now we can start charging.
Exactly.
But we're not charging so that we can ride a sailboat off into the sunset. We're doing it so that we can put that money back into the company so it can expand.
Yeah, and so they charged a fee, and in exchange for that fee, the hotels were provided with a streamlined process to donate the soap, and they would receive impact reports detailing the social and environmental impacts of their donations. Now, what company doesn't want to have those kind of statistics to share with people, right?
It's really smart. It's nice because they made sure to add benefits to the price.
Exactly right. And so with this proposal, Clean the World was now collecting somewhere between 50 cents and $1 per room per month from participating hotels. So, I mean, we're not talking a fortune here, right? 50 cents to $1 a day.
That adds up, but that little
room,
bit.
Right?
Yeah, when you think about how many rooms... when you start,
it can be a sizable amount.
It adds up,
but it's a tangible benefit.
6 steps to go from idea to action. Step 3 is scale your operation.
With the funds coming in, Seipler was able to relocate to a warehouse, set up a shipping process to get hotel bins shipped to the warehouse, and purchase equipment to ramp up processing, production, and distribution of the soap to meet the increased demand.
I'd say that's scaling the operation.
I think so.
There are 3 more steps that Seipler took, 3 more key steps to go from idea to action. We're going to share those with you in just a moment. Our show today is brought to you by ExpressVPN, which we use all the time to protect our devices from hackers. Now, a few months ago, we took a road trip from Illinois to Arizona, and all we had to do to protect our phones or laptops when we were on public Wi-Fi was to turn on our VPN app. And let me just say, of the two of us, I tend to be the more technical
Who would have guessed that?
one. And so the fact that you can just, I mean, it's easy for you.
Oh, it's super. I mean, you take out your device, you call up ExpressVPN, you hit the little red button, and it starts circling, and it circles into a green button to fully on, and you are protected.
And it happens really fast.
It does.
So,
faster than I explained it.
You can learn more about ExpressVPN and why we love it by clicking on the link in your show notes.
We've been sharing the 6 steps that Sean Seipler took to turn an idea about repurposing used soap into a worldwide humanitarian operation.
His 4th key step was to find distribution partners. Clean the World has operations on the ground in countries including Kenya, Tanzania, and Haiti, but they also partner with humanitarian organizations like UNICEF, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, World Vision, and Children International.
These partners help the organization reach more locations and people and provide them with on-the-ground data about the impact they were having on the world. That impact that we mentioned earlier, they're the ones who are actually helping Clean the World find out what is the impact.
Wow, that's smart. That's great. We're to the 5th step now on how to go from idea to action, and that's to pivot during setbacks. So in 2020, just like every other organization, Clean the World was impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, with hotels and resorts closed, the supply side of the operation got cut in half.
Nobody's using the soap.
Yeah, so I mean, they had a supply chain problem way before we were ever thinking about supply chain problems, right?
Yeah.
And so while the demand for soap was at an all-time high, the supply side was at an all-time low. So in addition, when the hotels started opening back up, many switched from packaged soap to refillable dispensers.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And don't you hate it when change comes along?
I don't quite understand the rationale behind that, because it seems like pulling out a clean bar of soap that's freshly wrapped would actually be have less germs than a refillable container. I don't know.
I haven't actually seen that at least not during our road trip.
Yeah.
We didn't see that. But anyway, so during the pandemic, the company formed some new partnerships, including Feeding America and Soapbox Soaps, to distribute soaps to U.S.-based relief organizations.
And they also, these guys are definitely expansion-minded. They also created a new arm of the company, which allows individuals to request at-home hygiene kits. Kind of cool name for a product, right? At-home hygiene kits, which they assemble and deliver to homeless shelters or aid groups in their community. How cool is that?
That's great. And yet another way to expand and get to be connected to other local charities through the people who support their cause.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a different way of donating, right? You're donating time in a way. So to date, the organization has distributed over 5 million of these kits to U.S. homeless shelters, and they've also distributed them to other countries facing sanitation supply chain shortages.
Wow, just incredible.
5 million.
Like entrepreneurs, you just find a way, no matter what's going on, you find a way to keep that mission going.
You do. And I wonder how many bars of soap it took to make 5 million kits.
I can't even imagine.
I bet you probably have 3 or 4 bars of soap making one new one.
I don't
Something like that.
This is a great excuse for us to go on a tour to see how it's all done, because I have no idea. All right, so now we're to the 6th and final step to go from idea to action. And this is a big one. Showcase your success.
Clean the World is able to form partnerships because at an early stage, they made it a priority to track these results. Now, we cited some of their numbers earlier, but if you want to see all their numbers, just go to their website.
Right. We've got the link in your show notes today. But aside from that, what you just said, Professor, it's what Seipler did at the very early stage of the company that really helped it get its big boost, and that is big with 2 G's. Before making that delivery of soap to Haiti, Seipler reached out to a local TV station, and they went along to document that mission.
Brilliant, eh?
Then that local story also ran in New York, which got the attention of Katie Couric, who at the time was the CBS evening news anchor.
And Seipler says it was that piece that ran in the fall of 2009 that forced the company out of the garage and into the warehouse. So it was one news story that turned into another news story at a national level. And the thing is, you just never know when that's going to happen.
Right.
So you don't plan on it, but you keep doing what you need to do. You keep trying to find opportunities like that, and you reach out every chance you get, and sometime, somewhere, some way, you're going to get the one that really pops and makes you a big success. So make sure people know what you are doing and the impact that it is making so that they also can help pass it on.
I'll tell you what, I'm feeling inspired. Let's review the 6 steps to go from idea to action that anyone can use. And feel free to share this with someone that you know has that burning idea. Step 1 is to get started. Step 2, find funding for growth. Step 3, scale your operation. Step 4, find distribution partners. Step 5, pivot during setbacks. And step 6, showcase your success.
Now, here's a question we get all the time. Where do great ideas for business come from? Where do or product? Where do they come from?
Apparently in the shower.
The answer is be aware of the world around you. Opportunity doesn't always knock. Sometimes it's hiding right in front of you in the form of a bar of soap. So use this story as inspiration and these steps to take action on your idea. It leads to big success.
Want to find more purpose in your life? Take our free life purpose quiz. It's at Big Success. That's big with 2 G's, success.com.
And we thank you very much for listening today. We'd like to send a big salute out to our listeners in Grand Junction, Colorado. Salute!
Money problems got you down. Don't bring me down. Well, if money problems are bringing you down, we're going to share.
What have you been drinking? What have you been drinking?
I know. We're going to share 13 ways to overcome those downers.
Awesome.
On our next show. So please join us. And until then,
here's to your big success.
Find big success at biggsuccess.com.